So about a year and a half ago, an editor friend of mine invited me to this Discord server he was setting up, frequently editing videos for anime YouTubers who knew a lot more than he did about anime. He always felt a little inadequate and wanted to bolster his knowledge. So he invited all of the biggest nerds, elitists, big dogs he knew to guide him through the classics and help him acquire good taste, like theirs. Of obscure 2000s magical girl shows, of art house student films and Osamu Dezaki anime. And it was a fun time. We watched Space Adventure Cobra, but it also got me thinking, can good taste really be developed like this? Through some sort of elite training regimen of classic anime? Like some sort of otaku Ludovico technique. Watch enough Ideon and you'll naturally become disgusted with all that mainstream pleb crap. So what is good taste anyways? For months after the server went defunct, this question still burned in the back of my head, and I spent my time reading books on writing and criticism in search of an answer. As humans, we tend to equate experience with prowess. Spend a lifetime honing a skill, and you become an expert. Your opinion on that topic more nuanced and wise. And certainly, after watching a lifetime of anime, I've developed a more thorough understanding of this medium. But are my preferences therefore more valid as well? Are the anime I enjoy, that I would recommend, somehow more meaningful than someone who's just watched a handful of anime? Instinctively, I'm inclined to say yes. We can go on about the subjectivity of taste, but there's a certain weight to the opinion of someone with experience. That's just human nature. You trust a fishing guru on which tackle to buy. Shouldn't the same go for entertainment? You trust a critic over your pal Billy, who keeps telling you to watch that new slime isekai because it's like hella dope. Many of these elitists will lord their experience over others. They've seen more anime, they've done the research, and they know what they're talking about. Of course their taste is better than yours. If you go gaga over seasonal harem or isekai, your taste is trash. Go fire up some Mori Masaki. Now that's the good shit. But what I've come to realize is that experience itself fundamentally changes what you enjoy in any anime or movie or book. This isn't an RPG. You're not leveling up. Your tastes don't improve. They shift. They change. What you desire out of a story diverges from the norm, and in fact they become less relevant to most people. Truth is, the vast majority of anime aren't made for those uber virgins who've seen 1,000 shows, or even 100, or even 10. It's pop culture. It's designed for the mainstream. There's nothing wrong with that. And what you enjoy in anime naturally changes with time. This is unavoidable. Even someone like Giguk, as mainstream as he is, as tribune of the plebs, he recently made a video lamenting the nature of popular anime and complaining that things ain't like they used to be.
I offhandedly mentioned in my Best of Anime 2018 video that despite how great I thought last year was, it had zero classics, which is more my way of describing that no matter how good any show was, it seemed to lack a sense of impact and longevity that a lot of greater years of anime had.
You know, he's also hit that brick wall. His time spent watching anime has begun to numb him toward the appeal of popular shows too, and his tastes are inching toward the experimental and obscure. The idea that you can develop good taste by watching anime is itself a paradox. The mere act of watching so many shows skews your perspective, makes you impatient and intolerant of things most people don't care about, and your views ultimately become less useful to most people. If anything, this means that your taste gets worse the more anime you watch, not better. In a sense, art is nothing more than applied psychology. Humans, for the most part, have fairly predictable aesthetic preferences. We want our climaxes in the third act. We want our heroes to be like us, and we want them to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. We like seeing the colors orange and blue together, and we like it when the notes in music harmonize. Artists from across millennia have compiled all these things humans like into a toolbox we call artistic convention. Convention is both how we create our stories and how we evaluate them. When someone complains about Dragon Ball not having character development, well, why does an anime need character development? Because it's a convention that humans typically enjoy. When the opening song starts playing during the final battle, It's because that's a convention that gets the audience really excited. But above all else, the convention people want the most is originality. They want to be surprised. These conventions I've mentioned are so effective that everyone uses them, and you see the same characters, plots, and settings across so many different books, movies, and anime. For the most part, this isn't actually an issue. If you're pretty casual, like most people are, you don't consume enough media to start noticing the patterns. You don't find them boring. Everything seems original. You don't realize how every Marvel flick spends exactly 30 minutes on Act 1. You don't notice how every pop song uses the same 4 chords, or how every manga chapter can be roughly divided into 4 even parts, a la the Japanese idea of Kisho Tenketsu. But if you're an uber nerd with no life, who spends all his spare time consuming pop culture and watching anime, these tropes start to stick out like a sore thumb. Like, the hero beating an overwhelming foe is really exciting the first few times, but when it keeps happening, and happening, and happening, it becomes a predictable trope. You start to realize that there's no logical sense why the villains should lose, and poof, you've pulled back the curtain. And that's how convention becomes cliché. Experienced fans tire of this and go out in search of something new. That's the niche for old school anime and art house anime. Shows that are deliberately different, that defy contemporary convention. You'll see plenty of people go on about how this makes their taste superior, how the anime they consume isn't limited by modern cliché or pandering. But this avant-garde notion that you can ever create a story outside the limitations of convention is naive. The obscure and experimental is as concrete a genre as romantic comedy or shonen adventure. Their entire appeal is in how they contradict the mainstream, and so they rely on the exact same cliches as their popular counterparts, just in reverse. Remember that whole dark magical girl trend where they deconstructed the genre by sticking sex and violence into cutesy mahou shoujo shows? The simple fact that they rebel against genre tropes doesn't make those shows any deeper, and it doesn't make your taste any more sophisticated for enjoying them. It's just a matter of marketing to a different demographic. An experimental anime, like Serial Experiments Lane, is as pandering as that fan service show about girls in pantyhose this season. The only difference is that Lane panders to a different crowd. To contradict cliché is, in and itself, a cliché of its own. It's been completely done to death for the past 500 years. There is nothing inherently valuable about buckling trends and being different. In fact, because these anime tend to reject the most effective storytelling techniques, they're often pretty bad. It's just hidden under a layer of pretension. Not to mention how art house shows are often more homogenous, style-wise, than the swath of anime in the mainstream. Someone like Ikuhara has been doing more or less the same thing for the past decade, while the landscape of anime changes all around him. Aniplex isn't funding him to be creative and try new things, they're paying him because he's an established name with a style that appeals to the target audience they're trying to market to. Art house fans are just another demographic, and Ikuhara is a brand. Like other anime auteurs, he's distinctive enough to draw in that audience without doing anything actually risky or innovative. He's safe while appearing edgy. He's the anime equivalent of Whole Foods. Now, I'm not trying to crap all over niche anime, experimental anime, or old anime. I love Ikuhara, and I love the pizza they have at Whole Foods. I'm just pointing out that taste is a matter of demographics and perspective, and that there's no inherent value in becoming so jaded that you stop watching mainstream anime. This myth about how your taste becomes better the more you watch is really just a lie we tell ourselves to feel better. The quality of a show has nothing to do with who it's aimed at. Sesame Street is as effective and engaging for its audience as Citizen Kane, and they're both masterpieces. Quality should be evaluated based on how well something accomplishes what it sets out to do instead. That's Roger Ebert, not me. Legend of the Galactic Heroes is a fantastic show, but I wouldn't expect a 9-year-old boy to enjoy watching space Prussians fight over an aluminum testicle. The same way I wouldn't expect them to enjoy bourbon. Our tastes are not superior or inferior to one another. They're just different. That's why I think the idea of canonical classics that everyone is obligated to watch is just silly. If you're dedicated to studying anime history, sure, there are influential shows that you really should see to build yourself an understanding of anime evolution. But your taste isn't incident on the classics you enjoy, nor should you expect most people to have fun watching poorly animated, decades-old cartoons. Their importance is nothing more than academic, and oftentimes their target audiences simply don't exist anymore. Honestly, lots of these classic old anime are just plain bad. They're notable for being pioneers of their genre, not for coming anywhere near their apex. SDF Macross drags its feet for way too long. First Gundam had at least 2 unnecessary arcs, and Captain Harlock, well, Harlock is just a really badly written character that comes across as more Gary Stu than anything else. He's the Kirito of the 80s, and they're both extremely popular, so that makes sense. Arcadia was a really good movie though. With all that said, can there be such a thing as good taste? Can your preferences actually be more valid than those of someone else? Unexpectedly, yes, I believe so. To me, good taste isn't about which niche of anime, movies, books, or music you enjoy. It's a mindset. It's the capacity and the willingness to entertain viewpoints aside from your own, antithetical to your own. To improve your taste is to expand your taste, to comprehend why others like the things they do, why they don't like what you like, and why you like what they don't. Truly great taste is learning to appreciate both the most cliché isekai and the most outlandish art house. It's getting hyped for Broly going Super Saiyan, and weeping for the death of Kagemusha, and feeling confused by lesbians playing mahjong cause why would she throw away that Yaku for chi? Good taste is not found in the shallow snobbery of Hellene elitists. It's inclusive, not exclusive. It seeks to understand, not to judge. Become vast, absorb multitudes of different viewpoints, and when you do, you'll be able to make connections and comparisons you never before realized were possible. This is the good taste that I personally want to achieve, and perhaps the only sense of the word that has a legitimate purpose outside of self-aggrandizing narcissism. Perhaps it still comes across as a little condescending. I don't deny that, but I don't think that my taste being good means that yours is trash, just because we disagree. Instead, I want you to tell me about it. Give me your unpopular opinions. I want to know why you like what you like. I want to see things from your point of view, and I want to assimilate that into myself so that my taste can continue to grow. In the end, what you like is part of who you are. Only by being a good person first, by being humble, by being open, by putting aside your biases and listening to what others have to say, can you acquire truly great taste.